Today in crypto, Omicron Persei 8 declares war, big banker boy is anti-transitory, and conspiracy to rocket us into new all-time highs. Welcome to the channel, everybody. The market took a big ol' dookie dump today after pussyfooting around all week, so let's get into the reasons behind it and how to keep a cool head looking forward. Two big themes shook the market this week: fear surrounding the new Omicron variant, uncertainty of how world governments will react, and doubts about inflation being transitory. Boys and girls, that's what we call FUD, FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And don't worry, we are here to make it all better for you. This being a crypto first channel, we're not going to get into the Omicron stuff too much. Just watch out for how this story develops. Look for headlines in the coming days and weeks about how this could either be a good thing that may phase out the more deadly variants, or how it's a bad thing and more shutdowns are imminent. The main focus will be on inflation and how they're trying to distract you from what is really happening. This week, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell admitted inflation may be getting out of hand, saying, "We tend to use transitory to mean that it won't leave a permanent mark in the form of higher inflation. I think it's probably a good time to retire that word and try to explain more clearly what we mean." So now you're asking, or probably thinking, I thought Bitcoin and crypto was supposed to be a hedge against inflation. If it's higher and more persistent, shouldn't the demand for it increase? Which is a good question. However, the current line of thought is now that central banks are admitting it's higher than expected and more persistent, they will take deflationary countermeasures like slowing down the money printer, turning down the money faucet, or in other words, slowing down the asset purchases and raising interest rates. Let's take a step back and actually look at some headlines and news pieces from this week, and then you can tell us whether or not forward-looking big money bag players are worried about this and whether or not the money printing and spending is actually going to slow down. The SEC rejects Wisdom Tree's application for a spot Bitcoin ETF. Wait, that's not good news. What's that doing in here? Oh wait, never mind. Psych! Wisdom Tree faded the SEC's BS and said, "I don't need you. Catch me in Europe." US firm Wisdom Tree lists crypto ETP on Euronext. Galaxy Digital raises $500 million, that's $500 million, in convertible debt to fund business expansion. Do you know what rich people do when inflation is high and more persistent? They get more debt. Galaxy Digital, a cryptocurrency brokerage and merchant bank founded by billionaire investor Michael Novogratz, announced on Monday that it will be issuing $500 million in exchangeable senior notes to accelerate business initiatives. Big Moneybag Mike here is taking on more debt to further entrench himself into crypto ventures. Why? Because monetary and fiscal policy will continue on its current path, making easy fiat money even easier. So you might as well put it towards something that can actually outpace it. Next story here, trillion-dollar investment firm Invesco launches European spot Bitcoin ETP. Invesco has partnered with crypto indices provider CoinShares to launch its first European exchange-traded product backed by physical Bitcoin. An ETP is somewhat similar to an exchange-traded fund, as it tracks the performance of an underlying asset or financial instrument. More importantly, for traditional investors, these financial instruments make it easier to gain exposure to crypto without having to hold the asset itself. Crypto-backed ETPs are gaining traction in Europe too, particularly in Germany and Switzerland. If you watched our last video, you'll know that Fidelity, with $4 trillion under management, is expected to launch its own spot ETF in Canadian markets. Fidelity launches a spot Bitcoin ETF in Canada. Fidelity Investments, a Boston-based investment company with over $4 trillion in assets under management, is launching an exchange-traded fund backed by physical Bitcoin. Wall Street veteran launches $1.5 billion crypto fund. Meld ISPO shines a spotlight on Cardano. The crypto economy continues to grow, with venture capital pouring millions of dollars into Bitcoin exchanges and leading DeFi liquidity protocols. Former Citi banker launches $1.5 billion crypto fund. Matt Zhang left a 14-year career at Citigroup to launch HiveMind Capital Partners, a $1.5 billion multi-strategy crypto and blockchain fund. The fund is designed to invest in emerging blockchain projects, support institutional access to crypto, and actively trade digital assets. Oh, but did you think the money printing was going to stop? Well, here in the US, we still got $2 trillion we have to jam into a budget still. No doubt, the debt ceiling gets raised by a cool 3 or 4 trillion in order to compensate. Biden's big social spending bill probably will pass Senate this month. Will Joe Biden's $2 trillion social spending and climate package actually get the Senate's okay this month as the chamber's leader has promised? The odds are looking good as we have people on both sides of the aisle agreeing it will. I think the chances are very, very good that this bill will pass, and I wouldn't bet the mortgage on it, but I would predict that it's going to happen by this month. Mr. Pomerleau concurs. He says, "I think that the Build Back Better Act ultimately passes. I think before Christmas seems to be a reasonable timeline." So wait, let me get this straight. We take a big old dumpski the very same week we get blasted with news about out of control inflation, but low-key we have some big spending coming up, and on that very same week we have multiple trillion-dollar investment firms set to launch their physically backed exchange products? I think we can all see what's going on here, but you actually know what would be surprising? A US ETF approval on Christmas Eve, given that the deadline is set for December 24th anyway. Could you imagine that rally? Food for thought. Thank you for watching. Glad you've made it this far. Please drop a like if you've gotten to this point and subscribe for more videos.